Hello students, welcome to the solution video of Cyclic Test 3. The paper that we're going to discuss is economics. Now students, this is a 50 marks paper. This paper was divided into two sections, right? Section A and section B. Now section A comprised of two main questions with 5 sub-questions under each of the main questions, and therefore the total 20 marks was allocated to section A. Now, talking about section B, you had 4 main questions, but out of those 4 main questions that were given to you, you have to attempt any 3 main questions under it. The sub-questions in section B comprised of 5 marks weightage. So, since you had to solve any 3 main questions, which means you had to attempt only 30 marks out of section B. So, section A comprised of your 20 marks and section B comprised of 30 marks, total accounting for your 50 marks paper. Now let's start solving the paper. Now when you start solving the paper, the very first thing that you do is write the name of the section that you're solving first. So since we're solving section A first, we'll write section A. Question 1A asks for what do you understand, what do you mean by saving deposit? Now students, you can write this down in your own words, but make sure that important things are added in this answer. For example, that savings deposit are held by household in order to inculcate a habit of saving. A low rate of interest is paid on them, or check facility is given to the people who hold savings deposit. All of these things you can add. Minimum 2 to 3 sentences must be there in this answer. So if you have added all of these things, all of these keywords are added, then you earn your 2 marks. Now moving on to question 1B, what do you understand, what do you mean by productivity of land? Again, students, you can write this down in your own word. In your textbook, there's just this one line given for the meaning. That is, productivity of land means the capacity of a piece of land to produce a crop. Now, do not just write that one sentence. You have to explain, you have to add in more sentences. Like I said, when you're writing the meaning of a particular thing, you should at least add 2 to 3 sentences, elaborate a bit, because it makes your answer more effective. It enhances your answer and helps you fetch better marks, right? So if you've written that, you earn your 2 marks. Moving on to the next question, question 1C, define entrepreneur. Now students, you have to write the definition. Now I've taken the example of a definition given to us by F.H. Knight. Yeah, there is one more definition. You can choose whatever is comfortable with you. You can choose to learn that particular definition and write it down. Now, when you're writing a definition, remember you first start with the word according to and then name the person whose definition you're about to write. And then in inverted commas, you write the definition given to you, right? And every word has to be written exactly how it is given in your textbook. Nothing shall be changed according to your specification or according to what you feel is right. Make sure, students, that you write or you stick to textual language, textual words when it comes to writing definitions, because definitions are supposed to be written as it is. Okay, so if you've written or you've kept all of these 3 things in mind, you've written the person's name who's given the definition, you've put inverted commas, and you've which means you've quoted the definition, and thirdly, if you've written everything exactly word to word, then you earned your 2 marks. Now moving on to the next question, that is question 1D. What do you understand, or what is contraction in demand? Now students, first of all, let me make it clear to you, when such questions are asked, you're not only supposed to write the meaning of contraction in demand, but also draw the diagram. Yes, for 2 marks, you're supposed to write the meaning as well as draw the diagram for it. Schedule is not needed, but make sure that you draw the diagram for contraction in demand. So you write your meaning, that contains 1 mark. So contraction in demand refers to a fall in quantity demanded due to a rise in the price of the commodity, other factors remaining constant. This has to be mentioned. And then you draw your diagram very neatly with scale and pencil. No shabby drawings will be entertained. So if you've neatly labeled your diagram, you've drawn your demand curve, named your demand curve, and all those arrows are intact, then you earn your full 2 marks. Moving on to the next question, that is question 1E. What do you mean by division of labor? Again, you can explain this in your own words. but make sure there are certain things that are supposed to be there in this answer. So what are the important keywords? Specialization in work, where the work is divided into a single commodity or a single sub-process. All of these words are important when you write the answer for division of labor, right? So if all of these things are there, then you've earned your 2 marks. You can again write 2 to 3 sentences trying to explain what division of labor is. You could also write an example for division of labor. Students. So let's move on to understand or look at the question 2A. Question 2A asks for explain the measure of value function of money, right? Now, this function has to be very elaborately explained. You can give examples. Like for example, we try to link it with like how we use the term kilograms for measuring weight of a commodity, meters for measuring the length of a commodity. All of these examples can be included in your answer in order to make your answer more better. So you can again write about 2 to 3 sentences trying to explain this very function of measure of value of money. Okay, so you can say that it is a useful measuring rod of value, and it helps you to measure, it serves as a unit of measurement in terms of value of all goods and services. So money is something that adds value to a commodity in terms of price. So you can add all these things into your answer, and if you've written it elaborately, very nicely, and explained the concept very well, then you earn your 2 marks. Now moving on to the next question, question 2B, what do you mean by decrease in supply? Again, students, when such a question is asked, you are expected to draw the diagram. So 1 mark contains, the meaning contains 1 mark, so you have to write the meaning of decrease in supply refers to a situation in which producer supplies less quantity at the same price. And why is this caused? It's caused due to other factors that affects your quantity supplied, but your price remains constant. And then you will draw your diagram very neatly. You have to label your diagram. You have to draw your SS curve. There should be 2 SS curves to show the shift of the supply curve, right? So if you've drawn your supply curve very neatly and very nicely, labeling all of the things that are supposed to be labeled in this diagram, as well as you've written your meaning very well, then you earn your 2 marks. But if you've just written the meaning, then you earn only 1 mark. You will lose out your marks that if you do not draw the diagram, right? Now moving on to the next question, that is question 2C. What do you understand by capital formation? Now students, this is something that you can again write in your own words. So what is capital formation? Capital formation means the increase in the stock of capital goods like machines, equipment, building, means of transport, factories, which are used for more and more production. So basically, it just means the net addition that is made to the capital stock of an economy during a period of time. So this is the last sentence over here is an important sentence. It has to be included in your answer. So if you've written 2 sentences or more and you've included this very particular statement in your answer, then you earn your 2 marks. Now moving on to question 2B, explain any 2 features of capital. Now students, when such questions are asked, first of all, you will write the statement while beginning your answer. The 2 features of capital are, and then go about and write your main answer. And again, when you're writing the features, you have to create head points, number those head points like it's shown over here, right? Underline your head points so that it stands out. And then explain those head points very elaborately and very nicely. So since it's a 2 mark question, you will write 2 features and you will explain both the features along with their head points. Moving on to the next question, that is question 2E. What are the exceptions to the law of demand? Now again, when you're writing this answer, you will start with the exceptions to the law of demand are, and then go about and explain any 2 exceptions. Now since students, it's a 2 mark answer, you will explain, you're needed to explain only 2 exceptions. You need not write all the 4. All right. I have taken 2 exceptions over here. One is giffen goods, another is articles of distinction. You may choose to write the other 2. That's not an issue. You don't have to particularly write these 2 only. You can choose whatever you want to write. Again, head points have to be there. Explanations have to be there. Head points have to be neatly drawn. So 1 exception, 1 mark, right? If you've written both the exceptions, if you've written 2 exceptions, you score your full 2 marks for this answer. Moving to next section, that is section B. Now, since it's a new section, please write or start solving this section on a new page. Yeah. Then again, write section B on top and then start solving your answer. That is question 3A. Now, students, remember you have to solve any 3 questions out of the 4 options that were given to you. So you may have solved any which you were comfortable with. Now, I am going to solve all of the answers or all of the questions. So I am going to discuss from the starting, that is question 3A. What are the functions, or explain the functions of an entrepreneur? Again, you will write this statement at the beginning of the answer. You will begin your answer always with the functions of entrepreneur are, and then you will write the 5 functions, underline those 5 functions, explain those 5 functions nicely. Now, for example, if you look at the second point, or the second function, decision-making functions, you will see that the different decisions that an entrepreneur makes, selection of a commodity, design and quality, all of those are different segments under decision-making function. So nicely put bullet points, or you number them, and make it visible to the paper corrector that you have included all the different decisions that a entrepreneur makes. Likewise, for coordination and supervision, what are the different things that he coordinates about or supervises? So all of that, again, you have put proper bullet points to explain your answer. So students, it's a 5-mark answer. You will write 5 functions of an entrepreneur with headings, and they are suitable, elaborate explanation. Moving on to the next question, 3B. What are the advantages of division of labor? Now, students, how will you start your answer? That's right. You will first state the statement. The advantages of division of labor are, and then write 5 advantages. That is, you will number your 5 advantages, create head points, write the explanation to those head points. And since it's a 5-mark question, you will write 5 head points along with a suitable explanation for 5 marks. Now, there are a lot of explanations, or there are a lot of advantages of division of labor. Now, I have chosen the ones that are easy. You may choose to learn this if you find this easy, or you can always choose to learn whatever you find comfortable and easy to learn. Yes? Now, moving on to the next question, that is question 4. What do you understand by productivity of land, and what are the factors affecting productivity of land? Now, students, when such a question is asked, you will see that you can either explain what productivity of land means, or you can directly just start writing the main answer, right? Of course, the statement has to be there that the factors affecting productivity of land are, and then go about and write 5 factors that affect your land. So I have gone ahead and I have written the meaning of productivity of land as well. Even in the previous question, the advantages of division of labor was asked, right? So if you've written 1 extra point regarding the meaning of division of labor, very good. But restrict yourself, since it is not a separate question asked, restrict yourself to just explaining the meaning in 1 sentence. That's it. Don't go about explaining more, because you've not been asked the question. Likewise, here also, you have not been asked what productivity of land is. You've directly been asked what are the factors affecting the productivity of land, right? So if you want, you can add 1 sentence trying to explain the meaning of productivity of land, and then start writing your answer. So the factors affecting the productivity of land are 5 factors. Yeah, there are a lot of factors. You choose what's best for you, or what is more comfortable for you. So write 5 points for 5 marks. Proper headings, underline those headings, write suitable explanation to those headings. Yeah. Remember, students, 5 head points and 5 explanation has to be there. 5. Now, how is the mark segregated here? Half marks for headings and half mark for your explanation. So if you write only 4 explanation, but you write 5 head points, you can't assume you're going to score full 5 marks. You're going to get only 4.5 marks. Yeah, because you've not written the explanation to the last point. You've only written explanation to 4 points, but have written the last heading. Then in that case, you will score only 4.5 marks. So if you want to score full marks, make sure that you write 5 head points as well as 5 headings. Sorry, 5 explanations. Moving to the next question, that is question 4b. State and explain the law of supply. Now students, the law of supply, whenever it is asked in your exam, there is a specific format which has to be followed while writing this answer. First of all, write statement. It has to be underlined neatly. Then other things being equal has to be in inverted commas, and then you will write the statement as it is, as given in your textbook, right? The word, the supply of commodity is directly related to price should be there, and then go about and explain that when the price of the commodity increases, supply increases. When price decreases, supply decreases. Do not just directly write other things being equal, price increases, supply increases, price decreases, supply increases. No, the statement supply of a commodity is directly related to the price of the commodity has to be there compulsorily. Also, this other things being equal has to be there included in your statement of the law of supply. Yeah. After the statement is done, the next thing that you're going to do is assumption. You're going to write the assumptions to the law of supply. Now these assumptions, like I've told you even in class, that the word there is no has to be added at the start so that it looks like a statement and not a head point. So you have to write at least 3 to 4 assumptions. Yeah. And then the next thing that you will write after the assumption is the supply schedule. Again, write the heading supply schedule, draw your table neatly. Supply schedule contains the prices of the commodity as well as the quantity that is supplied at these different prices. So make sure that your prices keep on increasing, and at the same time your quantity supplied also keeps on increasing. Yeah. So this is your individual supply schedule. After that comes your supply curve. So write the heading supply curve, draw your supply curve neatly, name both the axes, draw your supply curve. Now again, please use pencil and scale to draw your supply curve. Do not use pen to draw this. If you've used a pen to draw this and if you've drawn it very sharply, then you lose out marks. So make sure you draw the supply curve very neatly using pencil and scale. Again, the supply curve has to be drawn taking into account your figures that is given in the supply schedule. So as per these figures that you have created or constructed your supply schedule, on the basis of that you have to create your supply curve, right? They have to both match. Now your answer does not end here, students. Once you have constructed your supply curve, you have to even explain your supply curve. How do you explain your supply curve? First of all, take this first unit that's there in your supply schedule, the first price and the first quantity, right? And then directly jump to the last price and the last quantity. So you will go about and explain that SS is your supply curve. When the price of the commodity was ₹2, quantity supplied was 20 units. When the price increased to 6, quantity supplied also increased to 100 units. So you don't need to mention all of the prices and quantities that are there in the schedule. You can talk about the first one on the schedule and then directly jump to the last one on the schedule, right? This shows that there is a direct relationship between the price of the commodity and quantity supplied, and therefore the supply curve is a positive curve sloping upwards from left to right. Now these things, these words have to be there in your explanation to supply curve. So explanation is a crucial point when you're writing the answer for law of supply. Moving on to the next question, that is question 5a. What are the difficulties faced in barter trade? So again, you will start your answer by stating the statement. The difficulties of barter trade are as follows. Any 5 difficulties you can write down, create head points, underline those head points, write suitable explanations to those head points. Now question 5b is, what are the factors affecting individual supply? Again, write the statement. The factors affecting individual supply are, write any 5 factors affecting your individual supply, create 5 head points. Since it's a 5-mark question, 5 head points along with suitable explanations. Moving to the last question, that is question 6. Question 6a asks, what are the secondary functions of money? Now students, if you see, there are only 3 functions under the secondary functions of money. So when you're writing these 3 functions, make sure that you elaborately explain it, because you don't have 5 points to explain this answer for 5 marks. You have only 3 points. So you have to make sure that when you write these 3 points, you write it so well that it justifies to 5 marks, right? So try to explain it very nicely, try to include examples, and try to write a lot of explanation, try to add more sentences to your points. Question 6b. What are the agency functions of commercial bank? Again, start with the statement, the agency functions of commercial bank are, then you write the heading, create your headings, number those headings, underline those headings, then write your suitable explanation, right? Since it's a 5 mark answer, you will write 5 explanations, 5 headings for the agency functions of commercial bank. Thank you.